computer and click OK. Brilliant, brilliant. Preparing to stream live, setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. I don't know if we are live or not. I think that we go live earlier than I think we do, by the way, Beena. I always forget to check. Yeah, I'd like to remember, what did I say first and when did I say it, and then check on the recordings, or or go and look on Facebook. But I believe we're live now, Beena. I believe we're live.
Okay. Okay. So yes.
Go ahead.
Say hello. Okay. Hello, Syl, and
Hello, Beena.
yes, and hello, Green. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our open or live. Okay, because Norma, she called it live open, and which is
Open.
very
Yeah.
good, actually, very interesting, and
Yes.
I guess appropriate also, because it is open.
Yeah.
Because me and Syl, we do these things on a regular basis, like, okay, almost all the time. So for this particular time, okay, yes, not only that we are live doing this, but also we are openly doing this, like, yes,
Yeah.
sharing all these details and discussions and everything.
And it's open to everybody,
This
because
is
Norma calls it the
nice.
capital
Anyway,
O
hello,
open.
Norma. Hello. Exactly.
Yeah. Hello, Norma.
Yes.
Hello, Norma.
Yes.
Hello, Norma.
So hello and welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, Norma. Yes, I hope you will be there. Today's thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was just listening, and nowadays mostly I'm just paying attention to my capital H hearing, because we are in the preparation mode of preparation phase of something really big and huge and special happening, about to happen soon. So I'm trying to be more of
What is that? What's
more of
happening?
an ear
What is happening
for
soon? What are we
every
preparing for?
detail.
Say it specifically.
Yeah. Okay. As Sil already shared with you guys, that he will be on the series of podcast, and these podcasts are not not regular one. They are special because he's going to be interviewed by a professional interviewer, first thing.
Yeah.
Second is that,
And
okay, they
professionally
are going to
produced
be
as well. Yeah.
uh, sorry.
And professionally produced as well. That makes a very big difference.
Exactly, and yes, and professionally produced as well. And also that this is very interesting, because when we started doing these lives, I was the one who was saying, like, for 2 years ago, like, okay, so you have to be live, you need to do this, and I was kind of pushing him for this. But he says that it is not organically, which is, of course, absolutely perfect and appropriate. But that was my idea, that he needs to be more available to people, and especially for the sassy group, so they can see that the person behind the sassy group and community, that what are his thoughts, what he thinks of it, what was his intent, and how he wants to share. And of course, he wants everybody to share it. So that was my intent at the time. Also, I love doing things live, because it actually puts you on a very edge where you cannot do anything wrong. Like, you have to be always 100% prepared. Anything can come off, anyone can ask you anything. So it was my side also that I was keen to do these, because since like 4 years now, I am day and night, I'm continuously 100% um, living by practicing way of impeccability's concept.
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying percent? It's my effort, 100%. I'm not saying that I am perfect and I'm going to be
Correct.
perfect. No, my
Correct.
100% effort. I'm
Yes.
trying my
Yes.
percent to practice all those things. So I was keen, not because that I was like having any vanity that I can do this, because I have, and I had that trust that whoever is going to do deliberate practice of all these things will be for sure will be able to take on any challenges in terms of asking anything, thinking about things, and all those things.
Yeah.
And they have to be, everyone has to be in that position, because these are all the concepts, all the ideas, dictionary of
Yeah.
power terms, every concept is to live by those, not just think about them, not just talk about them. Because and to start living all those things, you need to check,
Mm.
are they really getting into my system? Am I really on right track? So that was my intent, and I was asking. But his, of course, his thinking was different at the time, and he says, "Okay, yes, as appropriate, it will come," and it came. And then he decides to do that.
Mm.
But when he was studying this, he said that my intent is to be completely, truly myself without any filters.
This is now they're
By
talking about the
filters, I
lives,
mean
not the podcast.
capital D
Talking about these
diplomacy.
lives here.
No, 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 no. These lives. And capital C care, and of course capital L love, and this for others also. But these lives he decided to do with 100% whatever he wants to do.
Mm.
And with complete moreness, you can say that, as
Yeah.
much as
Yeah.
of course can.
Yeah. No amelioration.
I
In other
assume that
words.
okay, it is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
100%. Yes, yes. And this is what we were doing, and I was observing. I am keen to attend all these lives or every single day, because I want to observe that okay, how this transformation, this journey. Because yes, he was, and he is far ahead, of course. But I have been observing a lot of changes and transformation and growth, as I when I started and now, in 4 years. I have seen in
Yeah.
him a lot, a lot,
Yeah.
lot, lot. This could only be by just practice, by some positive consequences of practicing all those things, but or maybe just a communication skills. But I have seen a lot of growth and learning and a lot of things that I have seen during this time. So
In
for
who?
me,
In
it,
who?
it was
In
an
who?
opportunity, and it is an opportunity to observe and in you,
Ah. Oh.
in So
Okay.
I was keen to attend
Not a
lives,
big
and
deal.
I am, because it's an opportunity for me to observe a lifetime practitioner, and of course a creator, but also a practitioner of way of impeccability and moreness, to
Mm.
see him where he is now, and all those changes and transformation. What I was observing, of course, it was way far ahead, but still, at least I was able to observe. This is what I'm doing. So now when the podcast thing came, professional podcasts, professionally produced, professionally interviewed, and of course professionally telecast also. I don't know how to say that other than this.
Yeah, yeah, telecast, because
It
it
is
will
going
be
to
a
be a big,
series of
big
10
thing.
repeated
Now I'm
200
on
times over the course of a year.
exactly. Wow. Okay. So I was thinking that how living attunement actually leads you towards things gently, beautifully, without any stress. He did he started these lives, and he was saying that okay, not doing it for any other intent, but just to be who I am. I want to share with maximum openness, maximum moreness, of course, and not 100%. I still believe that, but of course more than what usually he share with. And he was doing this, and it was like he was just letting it flow, and suddenly out of nowhere it was just conspired to do something, and these podcasting came, and
Oh.
now it is like the most refined sharing will be these podcasts. This is what I'm expecting from that, because for like I don't know how many months now, he has been sharing, and because of this process sharing, his capital S sharing is more and more refined. And now in the podcast is going to be, I really hope, and I'm looking forward for that, the most refined capital S sharing we will experience there. So podcast series is going to be a big deal because not only about the normal sharing, which he of course he does do all day long, and of course and Zoom sessions with participants and everything, but now not only in podcast but also in his books.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it is going to actually coming up to the point where things are going to be more or almost perfectly structured, and you guys will see that the result or the perks of Moreness and capitalist sharing. It's a big deal. It is a
Very
big
big
deal.
deal. Yeah.
And I'm really feeling blessed that I'm part of it because I'm going to have an opportunity to observe all those things. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sil.
And you're going
Thank
to be
you.
on the podcast too.
Yes.
Not from the beginning, but it's 10. And
Even if I
I
would
can
not be
bring a
there.
guest. So
Yes, even if I would not be there, just observe this.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Because you do so much of
just to
this with
observe this
me, you know.
process. It's a big
It's a big deal. It's a big
yes.
deal, yes. I can't share anything
Okay.
uh, we'll continue, but Facebook is so slow that when I click share, it just gives me the little spinning
Oh,
wheel, loading, loading, loading. I was able to pin it as featured at least, so all right. But I mean, it doesn't have to be done right away. We'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, it's quite amazing. I can't see any
it is.
comments.
It is
So
still. I think that it is. Oh, still, it's a Zoom thing, I guess,
no, no, nothing to do with
because
Zoom. No, no, it's Facebook.
whenever we have
No, it's Facebook.
okay,
It's
because it
Facebook
is a
is slow, or
delay.
at least my internet. Either way, it just it's not loading the option for me to share. This takes forever, so it's very slow. Even if I refresh the page, it's slow. But all right, no worries. Um, this thing with the podcasts, this is it's a big deal, right? It's a very big deal. And to me, I don't see it as an end point. I see it as a beginning of further big deals. Um, this is getting the word out, starting practice, all of this for the mourners to come. And I'm a great believer in practice, and I really like to practice things. I need to practice things for me to feel where I develop my competency. Yeah, sometimes I can do it right off the bat, right away. But nonetheless, I really do enjoy practice, yes, especially on something that's important like this. And the importance is to bring this concept of Nobelia living into the world we live in, into the consciousness, right, of our current world. I feel this is kind of an important point. Yes, much like Hogwarts or wizardry. Yes, it's been around forever, but in that way was brought into consciousness and society's awareness, as a thing uh, by J.K. I feel that Nobelia living is not similar to Hogwarts because Hogwarts you can't really apply it. You can get a wand and a cloak, and many people have them, and they say the spells, but nothing happens. Nobelia, however, you can very much learn everything that is underlying what it is to be a new noble, right? You can do the same learning as they do, right? This is if you want to, through Way-of-Impeccability and the Moreness project, right? We can do this. We can do this. So this is a very big difference. But also, the key point of it all is to be aware that there is a difference. There is an alternative. There is a choice to the choices that we typically have, which are the superiority paradigm choices. Norma, if that's you messaging me, my Facebook is kind of frozen right now. It's not doing anything. I can't even see those messages. But wait, I have it on the standalone thing here. Uh, okay. So I don't know who's messaging me, but I'm not seeing anything. I mean, all I can really see right now is the live, so which is good. So I don't know if you can call up Facebook on your computer, Beena, to see if there are comments, but I can't. All right? Will
Okay,
you?
yes, I'm going to, but Kayla was messaging you, not Norma.
Oh, oh, okay. Anyway, I'm saying that, to present this understanding that there is an alternative to the superiority paradigm. And like I was explaining about schools, well, Harry Potter, another good example, right? You've got the paradigm of wizardry, but that's not the only paradigm that's operating. You also have the superiority paradigm, where like, okay, Slytherin versus whatever, and they put them down and they're being nasty and all of this. And that's all superiority paradigm stuff, right? And, Ron feeling a bit down because he's not as sharp and bright and all of this. All superiority stuff, right? He's not the best and cleverest and blah, blah, blah. All hierarchy, all hierarchy. Yes. Yeah. So that's a superiority paradigm. On Nobelia is none of that. Nobelia-Living, there's none of that. Yes. We celebrate difference, not comparing constantly, saying, oh, you better than me, I'm worse than you, and if I'm worse, then I gotta feel bad and all this rubbish. No, I'm just different. That's it. I didn't feel bad as a baby because I didn't know anything. I was a little child. I was completely and thoroughly ignorant, not just ignorant, but foolish and idiotic and silly. But yet I felt happy and great and wonderful. Yeah, see? Why must we have this connectivity in this? Just hierarchy. It makes somebody else feel important. Yeah, to hell with you. You want to feel important relative to
Mm.
me? No. I mean, it's like saying, "Oh, I feel good because I'm cleverer than a baby." Compared to the universe, we're all babies. You know what I mean? It's just foolish. It's just idiotic. It's absolutely idiotic. You know, I'm cleverer than a baby. I'm more competent than a baby. I can read better than a baby. It's like, oh, yeah, yeah, okay, well done. Good for you. You know what I mean? We're all babies. To compare ourselves to each other is completely
Uh,
idiotic. Compared to the universe, we're nothing. Right, Beena?
yes, yes.
Yeah. It's just absurdity. And this is what I'm bringing out. This is what I'm
Okay, so
sharing. This is my
sorry to interrupt
task
you,
and
but
my mission.
Norma says hello.
Oh, hello, Norma. And we got Michaela here as
Mhm.
well. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Hi, Michaela, and
Yes,
hello. Hello. No, Norma doesn't say hello. She says hello. Yeah. Because hallowed be the ground where Norma stands.
hello. Okay, hello.
Right? Hello. Yeah, Norma is hallowed. Yes.
Mm.
Hello. Hello. I don't know, maybe it's the accent there. That's American. That's not English. Hello. Hello. Hello, everybody. I am Norma. I don't know. I'm trying to sound like I imagine Norma might sound with a bit of teasing thrown in. I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. But this is brilliant. All right, I was able to share now. I refreshed, and now all of a sudden it's okay. I can do the sharing. Who knows? To back to my topic that I'm emphasizing. I want to share this concept of Nobelia living. Yes, a moreness living which is attainable for real. I experience it every day. Beena experiences it every day. Yes, Beena more so than me because she has other people who, her family and some of her extended family, they share this underlying sensibility, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful extended family that a family and extended family that Beena has, right, Beena? Beena, where'd you go?
I'm here.
Ah, okay. I'm
I'm here.
saying you have a
Yes.
wonderful family, yes?
It's a delay.
Yeah, it's a
So
very long delay. It's a very long
exactly.
delay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just be aware that there's a long delay, both Michaela and Norma. But I'm thrilled you guys are here. I'm really thrilled you're here. And I think, Michaela, you said in a comment somewhere that the podcasting is pretty exciting. So going forward to this, from Sunday going forward, Beena's going to be interviewing me, and we're going to be doing. All right, on Sunday, we might do it a bit longer, but we're going to do in the week. We're going to do just 30 minutes because that's how long the interviews are going to be. And oh, Beena, that reminds me, we need to do some research. We need to
Yes.
watch some of Jill's interviews, right? To get the feel of, for you, not for me, to
Yes.
get the feel of her questions,
Yes.
right? So that you can ask
Yes.
like she would, yes? Or
Yes.
at least how we imagine she might, yeah? And
Yes.
so that for me to practice. And
Yes.
then also, I don't know if during the video, because the podcasts are 5 video and 5 uh, audio only, yeah, is sessions, interviews, podcasts, and in the uh, what I want to do is in the video ones, I want to talk about Nobelia, Way of Impeccability, the Moreness, Nobelia-Living, the Moreness Project, and the Dictionary of Power, and all of those things. All of this that makes up this extended world of Moreness, this alternative paradigm world. Yes. And this point of an alternative paradigm, I really am kind of curious how many of people in the general listenership really connect to paradigm and understand what I mean when I say paradigm. I'm not always sure. Yes, exactly. Condensing or manage essential in 30 minutes. Exactly, Norma. This is what I want to practice, right? Starting Sunday. I want to practice sharing in 30-minute
Yes.
sessions and to have a topic. So I'm going to have 5 main topics, which I'm going to pre-select ahead of time. The first one I know for sure already is Nobelia Living. Yes. Then the second main topic is going to be way of impeccability. The third main topic will be um, the Moreness project. And then the fourth one, I think, will be on the books, right? The various books that I have. Biella series, and yeah, well, if I screen share, you'll see books. Actually, books I have already written. Where's screen share? Okay, let's see if I can get this to open. See, I normally when I click on this here now, it opens and it puts the comments on the side because when it's here, it'll only show about 6 or 7 comments and then they'll stop updating. Yeah. But normally if I click, it opens it and you kind of focus in on it, but it won't do it today. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, so yeah, all my books, Making Sense of Toxic Abusive People and Understanding the Crazy of Life. And uh, anyway, yeah, actually, there's a better way to see it. We go there instead now. You see how everything I click, it's all just slow, slow, slow. Oh, here we go. All right, well, too bad. See, I'm on Amazon.com UK actually, and in Germany, France, Japan, Brazil, and more. Anyway, I want to see them on Amazon. Yeah. So, and that leaves the fifth one for, I guess, a general, to be determined as we go along, right? So, first one is Nobelia Living, second one is Way of Impeccability, third one is the Moreness Project, and fourth one are the books and the writings. And I maybe on the fifth one, I'll go through the Dictionary of Power. Yeah. So, tentatively for now. But as we go along, right, we'll rotate through those 5 subjects, right, in the week. And Sunday we'll, I guess, do just a general overview. Yeah, or maybe Sunday talk about other stuff. But that's one for each day of the week, right, as a topic. And then the next week we do it again, right, as a practice. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah. What do you think, Beena? It's not loading, so I'll just stop screen sharing. Oh, well, right there as I started. But it's not loading properly. Everything is all
Yes.
up here. Here we go. 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 I might as well share this now while I'm
You're
about it.
not sharing screens,
Yeah, yeah. I turned it off
so
to get the page to load. So this is on Amazon now. It's Author Central, and it says here the books. So view all books, and yeah, it's kind of fun. Oh, where'd you go? You see, every time you click, then the things don't load. I mean, they are, yeah. Uh, it's raining. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all right. I have things. No, I'm all right.
Wow.
Right. Wow. Yeah, yeah. It's raining. Just all of a sudden, it took me a bit by surprise. A pretty good rain too. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with everything. My internet must be very slow. See, it's just loading, loading, loading. So anyhow, all right. I like this idea though, of sharing on the topics. So this is where I want you guys' help, Norma. Yeah, two books, correct. Well, all right, I'll show you more. I have more books, Norma. I'll show you now. Beena and I were just there. Right, let's go. Yeah, and see future projects. Now look at this, Beena. I don't know why this doesn't show you.
Yes. Oh,
This is now we're looking at my. Oh yeah, the books came up. Making sense of toxic abusive people, and then it's got a long
okay.
subtitle and understanding the crazy of life and self psychology in a narcissism culture. Right, so these are the two books. Oh, wow, this one has three editions. It's a little odd. This one has three. This one only has one. I don't know. Amazon, what are you doing? Anyhow, so these books are about the superiority paradigm. And I'm going to be releasing a third one before the podcast series, which is more positive focused, and it's called Ask Biella Questions Answered. And it is I had a column in a newspaper and Ask Biella, kind of like an advice column, except I don't give advice. People ask questions and I share a detailed, in-depth understanding. A little different. Very nice articles. Very nice. Really fun. I mean, we can read some of those as well, maybe at some point. And those are very nice. I really like them, because to write from Biella as Biella, this is different writing for me. They come out kind of different, right? Biella has a different voice to me. Anyway, on these future projects, let's just get it loaded properly here. There we go. Right. So this is the about future projects, the realism series, which we saw. Those are the first two books of the realism series, right? It talks about it here. I don't know why it turns it off after a little while. Yeah, I have to figure that out. A little bothersome. But then we have the Rules of Sentience project. So, Norma, when it comes to other books, now, all right, the Rules of Sentience isn't a book. This is going to be a website with its like, well, like I can't show it the way to look on the website, but it's this, yeah, right? And if you look at all the, let's go to the beginning here, control home. Yeah, you got rule zero, belief in any of the rules. This was in the book, right? And then you got rule one. Oh, where's rule one? Uh, the meaning and purpose of life is to develop and enhance awareness. And then, rule two, rule three. I don't know what happened to rule two there. The scroll is a little weird. Yeah. Come on. Anyhow, and so then you've got the alternatives, and it's a whole long project. And this will be put on a website and very easy to navigate, and you can scroll across and up and down. Very much like this. You see, you can scroll across to get more detail. So the rules of sentience, and then you'll be able to scroll down as well, right? You have these columns. So it's a big project, and I want to connect it to the United Nations and their charter. You have to read it. That will take I don't know, a whole week to explain really, but I could try in 30 minutes. And then we have the Tools of Change series, which in this, some of you guys will feature in there. Yes. Well, I know all of you already because the tools of and I'll before I publish I'll get clearance from you, but I don't typically what these are is chat text conversations and then I say, okay, I just give you an initial, not necessarily your own initial, but I'll say, okay, chatting with Y, right? Whoever Y is, or Z, or it doesn't matter. The individual is not important, but it's a discussion about something. And sometimes I end up with, well, not sometimes, plenty, many dozens, hundreds of times, I've had really deep, in-depth conversations on Messenger with people, right? I mean, Beena, you know this. We don't text very often, actually, but Michaela, you know this. Norma, you know this. We have some nice, deep conversations sometimes. So I take those and yeah, I clean it up and take the typos out and redundancy and okay, hearts and smiley faces. I leave some in, but I clean it up and make it into an article. And then they make for wonderful articles, especially when we are talking about very particular things, right? So that the tools of change is very specifically about, topics like perspective shifting and deliberate living and managing expectations. Essentially, you could take these conversations that we have at the start of the lives. Those are all tools of change conversations, except, they're typically a bit one-sided because I'm busy doing stuff and Venus sharing the thought of the day. But when we get to the end of it, sometimes we have a more interactive dialogue, right? And especially the tools of change is where somebody's making an effort to try and understand something. Yes, and that's very powerful, very very powerful. And I have literally hundreds of these, I believe. I don't know. There are tons of them. I mean, I don't know. There's so many. But anyhow, so that's another thing to be published as a book, right, Norma? You asked about the different books, yes? And yeah, I have fiction and screenplays, and they loosely connected to the A plus philosophy, and to Way of Impeccability and to Nobility, right? Because the characters have it in some way, not as much as Biella or Ursula or all of them, but in some very small way. Like these the adventuremen, they're not necessarily focused on learning and improvement. They focused on adventure, right? As the characters. Now, it's a particular story of one particular of their adventures, but they get to it via attunement and anomalies. Now, it's very subtly mentioned in the book. It's not said even as attunement or anomalies, right? Uh, but but still, that's what happens. And there's a moreness to it as well. I mean, it's a very deep love story as well as an adventure story. They get, all right, so I'll read you the little elevator pitch, The Adventureman. This is all the different stories that are coming. A group of adventurous friends find themselves trapped underwater in a lake surrounded by gangsters. Now, it's very difficult to write these. I was just sharing with Beena earlier today because I was just checking it and seeing everything's good and right? Getting the website in order. And I said, man, yeah, I was quite impressed with my own elevator pitches because they're difficult to write. There's so much more to these stories,
Yes.
and to
Yes.
condense it, it's very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah. The cleanup will only leave my comments grin. No, Norma, no. Well, that's the point, though. Is the comments, I mean, the cleanup of our messenger conversations, not of the comments in the lives here now, right? Anyway, so this is a cool story, a fun story, and what I wanted to say about this is this is actually mostly written. This one's almost complete actually, and same with Saving America. This is Hoover, the old FBI director. Tasks and Hoover tasks an earnest special agent with investigating the death of the perfects. James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Jimi Hendrix, Bruce Lee, etc., expecting the initial conclusion of accidental deaths to be confirmed. And it's like, yeah, well, obviously that doesn't happen, and they're not accidental, right? This is a very cool story. This is a very cool story. This has got, um, the idea being here that things aren't always what they seem, and it brings to fore a very powerful conception in my dictionary of power, which is compelling motive. When we understand compelling motive, not regular motive, motivation, yeah, it's not enough. You need compelling motive sometimes to put you over the edge. That's when stuff gets really dramatic and serious. The impeccable warrior, one lone individual takes on an army, an impossible task. This is like a fantasy movie, but still, it's about impeccability and about the impossible and about the strategy, right? When you see it as a normal story, it's very exciting. It's sword play and back in the old days, and it's like, big army with elephants and giants and all sorts of stuff, right? It's a very fun story. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all the stories. You can go to the website and look through all of these, the different ones, Star Trek and Grab World and During the Rain and all these. And most of these are written. I have many more that aren't at least written to some extent, right? It's just ideas, but these are actually written to some extent, at least enough where to finish them is not a big idea. I just put all the different articles and essays and stuff that I have, and I got lots of content. I got tons and tons of content. There's not even all of them there. Then we got the Council of the God story, which you probably know a bit already about. But this is on its own, not how it connects to the Biella series. In the Biella series, there's a bit of an overlap. But this is where they start. I think I was talking about this yesterday to somewhere, where they start at the Renaissance, right? Yeah, I did explain this yesterday. And they now have to decide whether to interfere with Columbus or not. They're going to allow the complete, or almost complete ruin of Indian culture, Native American culture, or they're going to stop it, yes, and prevent it. Because Columbus is not a nice fellow. He's quite a horrible fellow, right? He's a total BMN, actually, but he's needed. And this is a series in which there's an explanation why there's actually a good reason for things like the world wars and this devastation, initial, devastation of Native American uh, culture, population, society, etc. It's very sophisticated. It's hard to comprehend when I say it now. Oh, you know what? There's actually good reasons for the Second World War that you will agree are good reasons. You say, no, they can't be. They can't be. Sorry. Millions of people died. It was horrible, etc., etc. But when you read the story, you're going to say, oh, I see. It changes the way we not only look at history, but look at our current situation, because we can understand in retrospect the good reasons because we'll see the afterwards. But right now, we can't see what's going to happen after our now, right? Our current times. We can't see what's going to happen in 10 or 20 or 30 years' time. But the book gives so many examples of how this stuff happens and works that you say, wow, okay, so you're making this into a story, but I could actually believe that there is this council of the gods that is meddling in stuff with the sensibility, and it works out, and they're doing a good job, right? Because it explains life and history and how things happen from this big overview perspective, and it's really fantastic. And you know what, the end result of it, what makes me very happy about this particular book series, is that once you read it, you get to be more relaxed and you don't have that stress of like, oh, you know what, the world's going to hell in a hard handbasket, and things are terrible and there's always problems. You understand that things make sense, even though I can't exactly see it just yet, but I can start to see it, especially when you see the examples throughout history. And it really makes such an incredible sense. It leaves you with a profound peace of being. Very powerful story, this. Very, very powerful story. I don't know how long, it all depends how much detail I want to go into. I'm not a historian, but if I could find a historian to work with, then I can go into super detail, about the events, especially the War of Revolution, the American War of Revolution. That I do need to go into detail with. But there's a lot that happens between Columbus and then, but still, it's the key events that need to be dealt with. The Second World War, First World War, a lot of stuff, right? Well, this the wars before that, the Franco-Prussian War, all of that. At least I'm familiar with that history, but still, very powerful stuff here. And really, like I said, it leads to that trust that we don't have. General people don't have a trust that society knows what it's doing. Society might not, but this point brings up to say, hey, well, there's this Council of the Gods, and they are doing something. Now, you could supplant the Council of the Gods with Krishna and Buddha and Allah and God, whatever you want to. It doesn't matter. The Fairy Queen, yes, all of them. It doesn't matter. The universe. It doesn't matter. I just use the Council of the Gods because it's a nice mechanism. It's kind of fun as well, right? It just brings a little bit of a different dynamic because in the Council of the Gods, uh, you get it's all the gods from all around the world, right? And so you get to hear from gods like Nantu, and I forget the one of the Northern American gods, which nobody really knows the name of, right? We know Krishna or whoever, we know those, right? And so they come in, but Jesus and Mercury are two of the main proponents. They come up with this plan. So the story tends to focus on them more than the others because they develop this grand extrapolation to change. They say, you know what, we've been sort of meddling and trying, but we haven't really been succeeding because we've had millennia of essentially the same system. We need a radical change to change the system where you've got a few benefiting and everybody else is essentially peasants and living in poverty, right? And struggling and suffering and not having fun lives. They come up with a plan to change it all. And this is quite something when you see it and you see how the history conforms to this. It's too fantastic, right? So it's like I've taken an explanation and fitted it to history, but actually the history fits the explanation so incredibly fantastically well. It really makes you start to think that this might be actually for real. I just, this is so awesome. And then of course this ties into the Biella series where the gods are watching. Anyway, it's all connected. It's all connected. Just very cool stuff. I get excited about this. It's very cool. And this is just about the philosophy of appropriateness and the A plus philosophy and dictionary of power or dictionary of conception, which underlies everything, right? And some more intimately and some more loosely, but all of this is geared. I can't let go my sensibilities when I write. Yes. Yeah, I can write about bad people, right? So then there's the young man and the young man stories. This is obviously my story. I call myself the young man in the stories because I don't want to write I feel too, it's awkward and I feel too egotistical doing that. So I wrote it as the young man series. But this is also a bit moreness to it because in the Biella series, the young man stories are referenced and he becomes the semi-mythological figure, right? So some of the stories are told are accurate, but others are, again, loosely based on the character of the young man, right? It's very cool stuff. That's a long series, by the way. That's in total probably about 1 million words. And then, of course, there's the Biella series, which is detailed a bit here, and all the supplemental works, right? So with the Biella series, like supplemental works. All right. So if I read a history of the Roman Empire, for instance, yes, and you might see supplemental works, you can, okay, the histories of Herodotus and the writings of Julius Caesar, those you can say not necessarily supplemental, but they both supplemental and reference works both together. But for me, supplemental works are, for instance, conversations with the new nobility, addendums and afterthoughts, the ethics of awareness. And this is written by Biella Noble, right? Confessions of the Soul, Dance with Life, all written by Biella. But others, you have practical applications of the new nobility. So this is, when you read it, this is some scholar somewhere, Camillus maybe, and or somebody like him, who has observed these practical applications of the new nobility and made a book about it. That's the topic, right? And these are these observations of practical observations of the new nobility. Some of these may be created by the new nobility themselves, safeguards of the new nobility, constant reminders, each different works, right? Conundrums of the new nobility, reflections not commonly shared, etc., etc. So what these do, and there's others that are like the legal system of the agglomeration as proposed and advocated by the new nobility, the economics of that, right? All of their other types of understandings as well. But what this does is when you read the Biella series and you go and you see at the back, and a lot of these I will publish simultaneously, right? So that they're there. So now it's like, okay, you're reading about Hogwarts, but you want to know about the history of Dumbledore. It's not in the story necessarily. Maybe you got to read here and there. But what if there was a separate book that was Dumbledore's story? That would be fantastic, right? You're going to find out all how Dumbledore came to be the headmaster, blah, 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 right? This would be really cool. This is what the supplemental works are. But they also go into more about, the details of the philosophy and the practical aspects, like those ones that I read there, right? I mean, then there's, on the different characters, like Ursula's takeaways and the crafting of Khaldun and all the main characters, their backstories and full stories, right? All of this stuff. Now, to me, when I get into a series, I like to, like Dune, for instance. This came to me from actually reading Dune. Princess Irulan, there are many quotes from works that she's written, right? And she's like becomes, anyway, no matter in the deal. I won't go into the details of it, right? But she's a character in the story, and then there's a quote from works that she's written. But you don't have access to the whole work. You just have these little tantalizing snippets. I want the whole work, yes, and I don't see any reason why that cannot be. Now, if you're into a series and you're into that world, that universe, when you get that extra depth, which might not be story, it's more technical stuff maybe, but it's for the fans. It's for those that are really deeply into it. Yes, it's like if you're really into the whole nobility, the Biella series, you're going to be wanting to do the Way of Impeccability course, right? Because you want to really get in depth. It's like if there was a wizardry course that you could take for real and actually learn wizardry. Uh, every fan of Harry Potter would be doing that course, I would imagine, right? Anyway, so this is providing you with that actuality and depth, because to me, Nobelia is a fictional planet, yes. However, Nobelia is also a metaphorical concept, and Nobelia-Living we can have here, right? We can bring it into our lives. Yeah, we can have this in our lives. Else, we can make our little mini world Nobelia. Yes, quite easily. Yes, quite easily on a smaller scale, obviously, but we can do that, right? We can apply the same understanding, the same ethics, the same aesthetics. Everything can be applied in our little world, even if it's a world of one. Doesn't matter. Yeah? I mean, like I say, I experience it in these opens, in these lives. I experience Nobelia-Living. Yes, and look at my backgrounds. That's part of the Nobelia aesthetic. Yes, art is everywhere. Everything is art. All right, I'm dressed a little plainly. Yeah, actually, it's the same sweater I was wearing yesterday. So be it. It was handy, right? On Nobelia, they dress very wonderfully and fancily. I don't have the resources for it, but it will come. It will come. All right. So we got the Biella series, and well, there was more there. I thought I missed something. Oh, I guess not. Oh, supplemental works is the last, and then it goes to the front again. All right. I have to fix why this time's out like that, right, Beena? You see, it's here, and then you leave it a little while, and then it goes blank. Oh, it's not doing it now. Oh, there it did. All right. I don't know. I don't know why it goes blank like that. It's a bit weird. Anyhow, so this is the website. I've been working on getting the website fixed up and everything on it. Just to the introduction is good. And this is supposed to be the latest blog post, and it was there. I don't know why it stopped working, so that needs to be fixed. About the coaching programs and courses. Yeah, you got a link here, take you to Way-of-Impeccability. And this is about the current books. Anyway, so hope you enjoy that. A little bit about me. There's a bit more about me if you want to go and read up here. So probably could put a quote or two in there from Norma. There'll be some nice quotes in there, I think. Yeah. Norma has nice things to say about me. Thank you very much, Norma. All right. I don't know why I got so very digressed. Norma's got visitors. Ah, wonderful. All right, Norma. All right. Enjoy your visitors. Yeah. Stick your tongue out at your visitors for me, please, Norma. Yeah, why not? Why not? And I'm just picturing this. It gives me great joy to think of it. And Norma might just do it too, right, Mina? She might just do it. Norma's got a very naughty, wicked sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very fun, very fun, very fun, Norma. It's quite wonderful. So yeah, I could quite easily imagine Norma doing that. All right, let's get to finish the capital R reading. Yes, we digressed long enough. Yeah, what do you think, Mina?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
I'm trying very hard to get this organized where I can see the comments. Uh, well, I'm just gonna leave it like this for now and watch that. So, all right, let's get reading. Let's get reading. Clean up. Oh, this is Audacity. This is what I'm gonna make the ad with. The audio ad, the 30-second audio ad. That's the other thing with this podcast series. It's not just doing the podcast, but it's the adverts as well. I make a 30-second ad, which of course is going to play every time they, at least 200 times, maybe more. I don't know if they, that's actually interesting. I don't know if they play the ad only during the, or, while I'm doing the podcast, which doesn't make sense. Or when do they play this and how many times? I don't actually know. But then there's also the billboards, right? And those advertise. So a lot of advertising involved as well. It's quite a big deal. Quite a big deal. Ah, you know where I went to the books? Why I was going there? Now I remember, just to finish that up. So I made that whole digression onto the books. And I didn't really get into the courses and the programs. But the reason why I was going there is that, like Beena was saying, that she said, yeah, I must go on podcasts and go on interviews and all this. And I said, it'll come when it comes, right? And it did. And likewise with the publishing. Yes, I have the 2 books published and I'll publish others. But to me, that realism series is it's kind of like putting my toe into the water and figuring out what's going on, right? And it gives me some experience with publishing, what's involved, how to advertise. It's learning. It's learning for me, right? And those 2 books, because they focus on the superiority paradigm, yeah, the books themselves aren't negative because they help people who are struggling with this. But it's not what I generally prefer to be discussing and talking about, right? It's just, it's not fun, the negative stuff, right? It's important,
Yes.
but not fun. However, uh, that I feel that this podcast will lead to eventually at some point the Biella series and those other works being appropriately published. Yes, because I publish on my own. Anybody who self-publishes, unless you have a huge budget for advertising, you're gonna touch a very small audience. Yes, and the Biala series and Nobelia-Living, the concept of Nobelia and Nobelia-Living, which is the point and purpose of the Biala series, is that needs to really go viral to have the appropriate impact. And this is a very, to me, the series is a profoundly, potentially world changing series. Now I know that sounds very grand and egotistical, but any paradigm that takes hold, that has the capability of transforming how we live, is potentially world changing, right? And this is okay. Take Harry Potter. Yes, it's a huge series. I think it's the biggest selling series now of anything, right? If I understand correctly, if I remember correctly. But it's so huge. But how much change did it do to the world really? Very little. Because, like I said, Hogwarts, you can't bring Hogwarts living into your life. You can't bring Wizardly into your life. And they don't behave very much differently to kids typically of that age in general, right? They're not showing a different way of being, a different way of living. They don't have a different underlying philosophy of being. Yes. They're just kids doing the wizardry and whatever adventure they seek, and they try to make things right and wrong, all of this stuff, right? And look how they get into their battles with Slytherin and stuff. It's typical teenage stuff. But in the Biella series, Nobelia Living, that there's an alternative being presented to say, man, you can live differently to this. The teachers, the culture, everything is different. Where that whole Slytherin and I forget the other houses, this rivalry and nastiness and even physical violence, that's just not possible because you're celebrating difference. You're not competing. Yes, stuff like this. So this is why it's so very life changing. Because I think back to high school, and I know very, very few people who say, "Oh, high school was fantastic. I enjoyed it like crazy." Oh, they might have enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed it, but it was still stressful. Yeah, because you always were sort of had to be on guard and you were watching your back and you were, had to be stressed about not being put down and not being humiliated and whatever. All this crap, right? So it was horrible, really. And it's very stressful, uh, teenage years for most people. But it doesn't have to be that way. So I'm thinking that, if teenagers start to click, and when I was a teenager, if I had found this, oh my goodness, I would have loved it so much. I would have loved it so much. And I found something sort of that I could apply, but it wasn't as complete. It didn't have everything that I needed. This does have everything I needed for complete self change and life change, right? And it's practical and utilizable. Yeah. So very powerful, very powerful. Anyway, um, that's what I was saying, though, that the podcast for me are going to lead at some point, to where there is a recognition and understanding. At least the podcast people see that, hey, what Syl's got a Moreness to share. And the reaction from the public was very, very, very encouraging. So if this thing takes off, which at some point it will, it has to, because it's so profound, then we can start to publish, the books and the Moreness and have this whole change, right? I can hire a team of editors and do all the things that I need to do. So yes, I know there's a lot of books to be published, and I can publish them. I mean, the book was finished, many of them, but I don't want to just yet. I'm holding off till the right time. Needs to be published properly. And it's very, very important. Very, very important. At least to me, very important. All right. Where are we now? Where are we now? So forgive me for elaborating a little bit, but I'm practicing. I'm practicing sharing all of this, right, to get it out. Right,
Yes,
Beena? Any comments?
yes, yes. I don't know, it is appropriate to share that piece with them. So yes.
Okay. All right. So this is at the tail end of their conversation. Uh, and this is where we ended last time, right? Uh, where Boynal signs off, right? And now they're going to discuss and the takeaways, right? And did we read the takeaways on last time already? I think we did, no? Or was Beena?
No, I remember. No,
All
I
right,
don't
never
think
mind.
so.
Never mind. Never mind. I'll start again. Takeaways, Illumina said energetically. She wanted to get the mood up. It seemed to be flagging somewhat. It is so uncertain, Hamum said. Not helping the mood. And I was, I want to put that in here. So I find it funny, but when you understand him, it is so uncertain, Hamum said. Not helping Illumina's mood elevation efforts. Yes, said Nora. Actually helping. Let me add that in there too, because Norma's got high energy. Yes, said Nora. I too would like to be more sure about Boynal. I mean, I don't know for sure if he really is going to use and apply what has come his way. Norma's always very high energy and enthusiastic. He reached out, Marco said. That changes the dynamics of the interaction. It gives license for a different type of communication. Letting others be is hard. Letting them alone is very hard, Shah added. Shah has a very particular way of communicating and sharing. She's quite unique, neatly encapsulating their mood. Such measly takeaways, Illumina grinned. But yes, it is tricky. Boynal has to figure it out for himself. It's up to him to adopt the concept of anomalies, to integrate them into his personal world. It is not easy. And there's another key point. That maybe is for session 5, Veena, is attunement and anomalies. Because everything else is right. Dictionary of power is very different. Self-conception, the way we do it is very different. But they still roughly connected to much of what is sort of usual and normal life change and self-change. Yeah. All right. It's a very loose and far connection, but still. But attunement and anomalies, this, no. Not in the way that they use it on Nobelia and shared. Yes, in other ways, it's there. But in this particular way, it's not, right? And what's powerful about it is so incredibly transformative. Yes? Incredibly transformative. Very big deal. Uh, Boynal has to figure it out for himself. It's up to him to adopt the concept of anomalies, to integrate them into his personal world. It is not easy. There are many implications. Illumina smiled, a smile filled with the beauty and wonder of the mysteries of anomalies. It also had a touch of sadness to it. She was acknowledging that sometimes there was only so much one could do. At some point, others were on their own. Yeah, especially if they don't want to face and deal with the awful truth. If self-honesty is not first and foremost, very difficult to be of assistance to others. Yeah. I was talking to Sher yesterday. We are going over a review of life coaching and to improve her life coaching and focus on it and fine tune it and all of this stuff, right? And that's the key point, that she's struggling with the client because they're not self-honest. To me, when you start, that's the first thing. Way-of-Impeccability or any of our programs, you've got to commit to being self-honest. Have to. If you can't be self-honest, you can't do these programs. Sorry. It's not possible. You cannot change because you cannot acknowledge what needs changing. You cannot acknowledge what's broken, what's not working, what's wrong, you can't acknowledge where you're mistaken, for instance. If you can't do that, and sometimes we've been mistaken all of our lives about things, all of our lives, profoundly mistaken with severe consequence. But we have to acknowledge that at some point, in which, if it's not in this life, it's going to be in some life somewhere along the line, right? You won't be able to move on until you acknowledge that. You're just going to get stuck and stay where you are. So very, very, very important point. Very, very important. Yes, this point of self-honesty. Yeah. That may be too, for the third session to do the pre-program, how to take the programs and courses, the concepts in there, to go through those, like this self-honesty. Yes, those are very profound. A lot of stuff in there. All right, anyway, we'll see. At some point, others will on their own. She retrieved her enthusiastic grin, explaining further. To me, what makes the critical difference is understanding that there is an inside me and an outside me. The outside me is my unconscious or superconscious or the world or the universe. The new nobility generally is referred to it as the universe, but that's just our preference. How exactly we see the outside me does not matter. I think this I have to hyphenate here. Makes more sense, yeah. How how exactly we see the outside me does not matter. On many worlds, it is defined as deity. It really does not matter how we understand it. The key is to understand how the process works, how to use the process, why it has to work the way it does. Once we do that, it all falls into place. Illumina looked towards Biella, sensing Biella may have something to add. Biella did indeed, elaborating on what Illumina said. We have to have at least two parts to us in order to consciously know one. This is obvious once we think about it, but it is not so until we do. She matched Illumina's fun grin. The new nobility see that part that is not the inside us as that part of us that already knows, but is not yet conscious. That part of us that does the describing of the world, the part that translates energy into matter by slowing it down with consciousness. Now, yes, she's referencing something that she talked to in detail about with Hela, right? So she's just referencing it here. The M is equal to E divided by C squared. That whole understanding of how that spirituality, how reality works, etc. It's a very detailed thing there. It's a very big deal. And again, something for the supplemental work where you can really go into it in full detail and get all scholarly and academic and whatever about it. The details of this process do not matter much. It is helpful to some to have an underlying rationale, but it is not necessary. Yes, Ursula was thinking it through. If we get beneficial results, repeatable results which help us and add value, what does it really matter how it happens? Ross Zero, Illumina quoted, paraphrasing slightly. Belief is not required. Simply having an awareness of the possibilities implied is enough. Behaving as if they were true or just testing them out provides the benefits. Rule of sentience zero is the suspension of belief and disbelief. This is such a big deal, and it's just touched on here, right? Of course, you want to know more, go to the rules of sentience. And like I showed you before, the rules of sentience, if you go here, if we go to rule zero, you see, here's the detailed explanation of what it is, right? And on some, this one doesn't have too many, but on some of these, they very long and in depth, right? And then there's even like you have to click more to see further. There's like really big deals, right? Lots of moreness to it. Um, think if I click, yeah, if I click double click, then it shows there's a little extra here. But some of these are very long and very extensive. But it depends on the rule, yes. So this is the individual alone is the final arbiter of truth. Right? Then we get all of this here. Right? This is just profound stuff. But that's if you get it, okay, I get it. And then you got all these other things, how all this helps you understand this. And the intent of the rule of sentience is to have a commonality of agreement that pretty much any society and culture that we have in the world, like I think the example I use in the detailed explanation of rules of sentience, from Mrs. Hollywood to Mrs. Taliban, yeah, that they can agree. I mean, whether you now, when I say Mrs. Hollywood or, this, I'm talking about, like very woo woo and very progressive and very liberal, etc., right? To somebody who's maybe very conservative. Yeah. But both of them are going to agree that honesty is a critical issue, or like that in the end, me as the individual, I'm the only one that can decide what is true, right? Because if you tell me what's true, I have to decide whether I believe you or not. I'm making the decision. See, we can't get away from this, right? Okay, so Einstein says E equal mc squared. I know it's true. I have to decide to accept that it is. So therefore, I'm the arbiter of truth because I decide what I accept. I'm not actually figuring it out for myself most of the time, but I still have to decide what I accept. Yes, and it's a very important point, and that's why that extra explanation makes this very clear. Now, much of that still has work to do, but rules of sentience is a very profound project. Yes, and I would like to eventually make it an open source project where anybody can, like Wikipedia. Yeah, but you have a committee, though. It's not like you can directly come and edit it, right? There's this constant committee, and then they filter stuff. And when they see something that's potentially very valuable, they put it up for a vote with the general public. And it's a big voting day. Rule of Sentience Day becomes like a thing day. Like you have, I don't know, Environment Day, Wildlife Day. Okay, well, Rule of Sentience Day, where everybody knows this is the day now that you go and everybody votes on these things. Yes. And you can vote any time of the year, but this is when it actually gets tallied up and changed, right? And like a big vote. Many people vote then on that day too for it. At least will. At least this is my idea. But then it becomes public, right? So that when like a rule, they say, that rule is kind of a bit out of date now, and then you've got a list of suggested rules, maybe. Right, and say, okay, you rank the rules which is your most popular, and then you take the ones that are the least popular, right? And you have popular and influential, and you have different criteria for ranking them, right? So the ones that get at the bottom there and are like, this one, yeah, it's potent, but doesn't grab me as that much. Then you've got new ones. Do we want to replace it? There's a very serious deal to replace a rule, right? Or maybe to extend to say, all right, you know what, we've got one for each day of the year, but why should we limit it to 365 or 366? Maybe we can have two rules a day. All right. All of these decisions I feel very powerful if they are made by the public. Because if this is something that's really huge, and the way I intended and the idea of it to connect it to the United Nations, and their mandate, it's clear in there. It's actually in the United Nations mandate, which countries have, or their Declaration of Human Rights. So if you remember the United Nations, you've agreed to all of this, right? And you've actually agreed to have something like the rules of sentience, although they don't. But anyway, you have to read the rules to see what I mean specifically, or at least those lines in this uh, Declaration of Human Rights. The specific paragraphs and lines. But still, though, if this is adopted and taught in schools, where you have a commonality of how the world works, essentially, right? How society works, common values that we agree to, common intents, patience. Patience is a superpower. All right. I don't know if that's the rule of sentience, but there's something about patience being important. Yeah. Now, there's a particular way to write the rules of sentience that they're not advice, that they self-evident sensibilities. It's complicated. We have to go into really into detail. But nonetheless, the point I'm making that is that with these rules of sentience, that when you start to utilize them, they become a commonality that binds the world. Yes, and because we think that we have, okay, I'm this and you that, and I'm whatever you put in the category. I don't want to even say the categories because people have a zillion categories. But when you start to really scratch the surface, we all subscribe to many of the same things. And when we realize that, you know, I said, wow, okay, I don't know, I believe in the aliens and they're coming, and I'm from a different planet, or whatever my thing is. I believe in the fairy queen and you got very conventional religion. But you know what? We both believe in honesty and patience and goodness and caring and love and understanding and discernment and being thorough and those are all common things. Yeah. And I said, wow, okay, this is all rules of sentience. Yes. Now we've got a commonality that we can connect to. The rest doesn't matter because those are the important things. Whether I believe in aliens and the fairy queen or whatever conventional religion, does it really matter? If I believe in goodness and I have an intent to goodness, and this is obvious, no, doesn't matter in the least. So there we can get together, right? We can learn to celebrate difference. It's like, wow, you have a very different kind of style of doing things and belief system. That's very wonderful. So yes, I understand it's a belief system. It doesn't necessarily make it true, Yeah, I believe in the aliens, but doesn't mean they exist, right? Very powerful stuff. So the rules of sentience is a big project, but this suspension of belief and disbelief from rule zero, it starts saying that don't get hung up on belief, right? You don't need to believe to get value. Yeah, this is an incredible, powerful thing. And when you do something like Way of Impeccability, where it says belief is not required, me as the presenter and facilitator of Way of Impeccability, and whoever is, others may also be facilitators, can be trained to do this. I don't want the participant to be believing me. No, no, you've got to figure it out for yourself. It's got to make sense to you, not because I say it makes sense. That won't give you independence of being. You won't get anywhere. So this is a very sophisticated application, and of course the new nobility, they really utilize this all the time, right? So it's very intrinsic in the new nobility, in the culture, in Nobelia living. It's a fundamental part of Nobelia living is the suspension of belief and disbelief when it comes to application, right? You out there testing these things to see whether or not you get value. Whether or not it's true or not is irrelevant. Whether you get value and benefit, usefulness, that's what matters. Right. So this is a big point. Beena and I have discussed this many times, and it's a very big point that is very profound to Beena. Yes, very big deal to you, right, Beena?
Always,
That was Beena snoring.
always.
I'm just teasing him. I was saying this
What?
point. I was making snoring
I said always.
very soft, feminine snoring sounds, but you didn't hear them. Like that was you sleeping while the lag, you're coming back.
Oh.
No, I was just teasing. I was just teasing. I was saying this point though of the suspension of disbelief and belief. Is getting value whether things are true or not. This is a big deal to you, right, Beena?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it changes everything for me.
In what way?
Now I'm not dependent on, and I'm not waiting for anything to happen to, like, okay, oh yeah, some group,
Yeah. Yeah.
something, and it is going to change my life. No, I am the one who just need to just set my intent and of intent, what I really want. And of course,
Yeah.
universe is going to help me. This
Yeah.
is helping me into this. And I can get you out of anything and everything. This is, it's a freedom. It's a freedom. It's a liberation.
Yes. Yes. It's a great liberation. Exactly. It's a massive wonderfulness. Again, one of these key little subtle points of Nobelia living that are profoundly life changing and potentially world changing if they are adopted by more people, right? Again, you're not doing it because it's a belief. You're doing it because you're
Yes.
getting value. And when it's a self-evident value, what does it matter what the belief is underlying it? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where it comes from either. It's self-evident. And this is the entire philosophy that underlies all this, the logic, the sensibility. It's always on self-evident sensibilities. That self-evidentness, very important. So
Exactly.
exactly so, Biella agreed. The new nobility see our outside part as the part that knows, but not consciously. Our intuition, or the source of it, some call it collective or racial wisdom or memory. Again, it doesn't matter. That superconscious part knows our conscious part is following a path of awareness. It attempts to assist. It can only assist indirectly. Otherwise, it will interfere with the awareness attaining process. It actually needs to be hyphenated. Right?
Yeah.
Awareness attaining process. Awareness can only be acquired within. Otherwise, it will not be true awareness, but a program. Yeah. So this point has been made many times before. It's repeated again because it's so crucial. This is another one of those potentially world-changing understandings. Yeah. That awareness can only be acquired within. You cannot get it from without. Otherwise, it'd be a program. It changes your whole understanding of spirituality, religion, schooling, learning, growing, everything. It all changes when you really understand this. Yeah, you can't just go around accepting and believing and putting stuff on your hard drive. It doesn't change you. You have to figure it out. You have to work it. You have to bring it into your operating system. Right. I use the computer explanation because at least most people will kind of
Yes.
understand it more or less, right? Very helpful, right, Beena?
Yes.
All right. So now,
Exactly.
Biella's explanation here for those paying real close attention is saying, yeah, but isn't Biella mixing things a little bit? Yes, because she's tired. Because she said we need at least two parts to be aware of ourselves. And then she sort of conflates them to say the two parts, one is the inside me and the outside me. Actually, to get real detailed, no. And the parts that we need for simply to be conscious and awareness is simply a reflection of the self. But then there's this greater, deeper mystery that we are also have this deeper self that's not conscious, that's trying to become conscious. Now, those may be the same, but actually, if you kind of think about it, they also kind of different, right? So there's not a clarity here because we can't say for sure, but she does somewhat conflate the mirror me with the deeper subconscious me and the conscious me, right? They're slightly different. But maybe the conscious me and the subconscious me is part of that mirror process that allows you to have consciousness. So, one view is of the two me's like this, and the other view is they're more like this, right? Surface and under the surface. But anyway, but Bialla's a bit tired, so okay, I'll leave it. It's more natural as how things go. And at some point, maybe in one of the other books, somebody will say, Biella, when you were talking about the me's, I was a little bit confused. And then they'll have a nice big discussion on it, and then it'll be made more clear, right? That's how the system on Nobelia works. And book 2 is actually a whole long series of these discussions and interactions. It's very cool. Yeah, and some moreness there too, but it's mainly what it is. We get to hang out and with Biella for the most part. Uh, will be a program. Elivania continued the explanation because she's feeling Biella's tiredness. Thus, the outside part gives the me that I know inside, the me I describe as myself. It gives me hints, clues, suggestions, reminders, puzzles, etc., usually in the form of something anomalous happening in our lives, or the odd, very unusual, impossible, maybe even weird or strange. The reason it comes as anomalous is to draw our attention, capital A attention, but we have to be on the alert, capital A alert. Yeah, which means you really have to be looking for it, not just general alert. We have to be paying attention to what comes as it connects to what we intend and have intended. The assistance we give ourselves is going to be connected to our intents. And it is our true and deep, deep long-term intents, not the superficial wants and desires we think we want. The assistance we give ourselves is geared towards what is good for us, but what is good for us is not necessarily nice for us. To restate what Illumina said, we can think of it all as a dream, a meta dream, one we are dreaming for ourselves, Biella added. The question is, how do we communicate with ourselves in this meta dream without giving the dream away, the game away? The dream is a dream of awareness. We wish to foster and stimulate that awareness in our dreaming selves. The greater self has to do this without direct input, That would defeat the objective and lead to programming. Once we learn the language of the dream, which are hints, clues, suggestions, oddities, reminders, peculiarities, the unusual, what grabs our attention, all the anomalies, we can then begin to truly live the story of our lives, the story of a marvelous adventure into awareness, where everything is geared to that end, geared to us, specifically, individually, with the utmost intimacy, and intimacy only we could know. The magic of this tale of awareness is so incredible. It is hard to comprehend and accept at first. It is hard to comprehend and accept at first. You know, and I think I was put that with this one. Yeah, it's actually different. The minus sign and the dash sign, they're actually different. When some of the formatting things, when you copy this into them, they shine so differently. Biella was laughing. Yes, I know I restated what Illuminia said. This is such an important part of what it is at the core of the new nobility. It bears repetition. I can see that, said Ursula. I have heard you speak of this many times now. Always I listen with fascination. I hear the importance of it. Yes, making the jump from hearing to understanding to application is a huge one. Even with all that has happened today, so far, she added with a grin. Her recent experiences had led her to expect the unexpected, especially when in the company of the new nobility. It was phenomenal. Just the sheer energy they exuded. Things happened near them. Biella, however, felt drained. So even though Ursula says so far, and there's potentially more, she leaves it open. Typically, Biella would respond to that or Illuminia. But yeah, now, it's time to wrap it up. Biella, however, felt drained. You see, the however is connected to that so far. Yes? Not following it. That's why there was a comma there. Yeah? Anyway, the conversation with Boynal unexpectedly taxing. Illuminia, will you please get everyone to the top of the grand terrace? Maybe have a bite to eat. I will meet you there soon. Now, this was for earlier in the story, and Biella said that this is on this day now that they'd scheduled this free chat, right? And so it's still on the plan. But then this whole conversation with Boynal has happened now. And yes, they've already scheduled it, but as we'll see, the universe helps Biella out here, right? So it's something that they'd scheduled and told everybody about. Okay, I will meet you there soon. Yes, certainly. Illuminae immediately turned to the group and started organizing. Basically, mothering them out. Come, shepherding them out. Off you go, get lost for a while. Whatever. You just can just see this from Illuminae with her style, right? Making sure to shift attention away from Biella. She knew articulation required inordinate amounts of energy. Biella wanted to recharge before the free chat. How much is there here now? Okay. I want to read to the end because tomorrow I want to read this about the author and the reader, right? That this kind of determines its whole own life, right? You agree, Beena?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Biella was still tired as she met with the group
Yes.
top of the grand
Yes.
terrace. I agree. It's very important, that last part. It's very important. So this to me is this little last section now is purely about taking all of the energy and funneling it nicely into a way where that energy can sit nicely in us and we have a nice mood that we can leave the book with. Yes, it's very important to me. Very, very important. This Biella was still tired as she met with the group at the top of the grand terrace. I have been thinking about this, she said, since I have received such a clear mandate to show what the new nobility is, to show what it is to be a new noble. Instead of the usual format, I would like to undertake a variation with your help. Normally, for those of you not familiar, a free chat is usually a smaller group. The idea is just to throw out thoughts, concepts, ideas, perceptions, and so on. The others respond with relatively brief responses. The idea is to run through a range of concepts, seeing where it leads. We can try this sometime, and or not try it, do it sometime. It would be very cool, right? Get a few more on Zoom, another maybe like 5 or 6 or so. oh, 7, 8, 10 even, right? And just to do this, you just, all right, somebody throws out appropriateness, and somebody says, well, to me, it's a bit complicated because it's connected to proper. And then, okay, you just leave it there. And somebody, you have a few things on your mind, and somebody says, well, self-honesty. I'm just taking topics that had come up to me today, right? Self-honesty. This is so crucial.
Hmm.
It's so important. And then somebody says, yes, but it's so underemphasized, right? This is what comes up for them. And somebody says, yes, this needs to be really emphasized, like in schooling. You see, oh, wow, okay. You see what I mean? It's just like whatever pops up, but you're not doing. It's not free word association. It's free concept elaboration association and jumping also. And you are deliberately getting to maybe three or four, little one-liner, one sentence, two sentence elaborations, and then you jump to something else, right? So that you don't end up with a long discussion on one topic, yeah. And you deliberately building. It's like you're packing this into a mound, yeah. Each concept and a little bit of elaboration, concept elaboration, and then, or at least idea or thought or whatever, and you start to build. And then when you've got a whole bunch of these, you start to see what is the whole that's emerging from this accumulation. We very, very, very seldom do this in conversation. Yes, it kind of happens sometimes, but then you get conversations which end up going a bit squirrely and zigzagging all over the show, right? And like a little bit out of control and a bit
Hmm.
chaotic, and you don't get real value from it. But this is taking that process and making it a bit more structured so that you will get value. Can you see where I'm going with this, Beena? You see how cool that would be? Yeah? It's a project of
Yes,
discovery,
yes.
this free chat. You're looking to see where it's uh, um, um, uh, collaboration. It's collaboration to see where, when you combine all of what's your thought of the day, what's in your heart, what's a bit unresolved, not only your own thought, you throw that out, right? But then the others throw out what your energy stimulates in them, what it brings up in you, right? So it's not just your thought that you're doing, it's also the stimulants, right? The responses. So you throw your thought plus the responses into the pot. And then this keeps happening. And then you see what you build from that, right? What stew builds from all of this. Because now the universe is going to get involved also. And typically, if you're paying attention, right, there's going to be something anomalous that's happening, right? Like, especially if you're outside, yeah, which they typically will do this outside. Well, if you do this on Zoom, I would recommend people are scrolling through their timelines while they do this. Just scrolling, like some people do when they chat. They scroll as a reflex, just kind of like habit, right? But I would recommend doing that then, because then you're scrolling. Oh, wait a second,
Yes,
what was that? Something will jump out from you from the scrolling, right? Boom, you add it, you throw it into the pot. Yeah, that gives the opportunity for the
yes.
universe to be involved. Or sometimes, may hear something may happen, but it's very cool, very cool. All right. Normally, for those of you not familiar, a free chat is usually a smaller group. The idea is just to throw out thoughts, concepts, ideas, perceptions, and so on. The others respond with relatively brief responses. The idea is to run through a range of topics, seeing where it leads. I would like to keep that free and fluid back and forth, except I would like it all to come at me. I do all the responding. I don't wish to influence the free chat in any way. My idea is in responding to all the variety coming my way. I will hopefully be able to show what the new nobility is about. So she doesn't even say here, it's taken for granted by all who know her that she's not doing this because she's being egotistical to think that she can answer all these things or respond to them. It's her responses. But in seeing it from one source, the delegates are going to get a greater idea of what's involved, right? When you're seeing it from a range of individuals, you now focus more on the ideas than on what the individual is who is responding to this, right? So it's a shift of focus. It's very clever of Biella to do this and very thoughtful because that's her mandate now, of course. So it comes up in her. I'm hoping to tap into areas which have not as yet come up with the delegates to access a broader range of topics to show more of an overview. Now she's also kind of saying a bit more. Normally the free chats, whatever. But those now, all the aspirants and Ursula and so on, and Illuminia, right? They're going to say, well, especially like Ursula and those who've been the aspirants who've now been along with most of Biella's interactions, yeah, they're going to say well, you know what, we never actually this is important. This never came up, and the delegates can throw things out too, right? So this is very cool. I'm hoping to tap into areas which have not as yet come up with the delegates, access a broader range of topics to show more of an overview. Biella was about to get started when drops began to fall. I mean, she's saying it now. They're right there on the Grand Terrace, which the Grand Terrace is a very cool place, by the way. It gets described in book 2, so I'm not going to describe it now. A marvelous storm was moving in fast. Looking to the storm, she said, "We'll meet here tomorrow morning early." She quickly said, I have to get that urgency in here. Because, when storms come, right, and you feel those first drops, it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and then deluge, right? You get to experience exponentiality in reality, in actual physical sensation. I mean, I'm assuming you've been caught in downpours, right, Beena? You know what I'm talking about? Beena?
Not understand.
When the rain
Not
starts,
understanding what you're saying.
a
Not getting
downpour,
it completely.
like a thunderstorm, right?
Yes.
Uh, when
Yes.
when you're out there and it's coming,
Yes.
you first you feel 1 drop, then you feel 2 drops, then 4 drops, and then suddenly it comes boosh, right? Comes very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I want to say, looking at the
Yes.
storm, she quickly
Yes.
said, "We'll meet here tomorrow morning early." To the delegates, she urged. Uh, yeah, instead of said, she urged. "Illuminier will get you situated near here for convenience." As everyone rapidly dispersed, Biella said, "Haila, Ursula, a moment." They stayed behind, joining Biella as she uh, started moving back towards her apartment. I want to say, joining, catching up to Biella. That would be better. To Biella as uh, she trotted back to her apartment. Let's make this really really quickly here, right? As she trotted back to her apartment. Yeah. I want to give that urgency here. I would very much like it if you would stay over with Illumini and I. It would be splendid to watch the storm together, and it would help me. So it's a very gentle way she's asking for their assistance here, right? Hele and Ursula both felt Biella's fatigue. Saying nothing, they smiled happily, extending their energy and love to Biella. So the storm really helps Biella out here. Yes, and it is the magic of the story that this is how things work. Yes, and we've seen it in this with the way the Hyla and Camelius and Ursula, or not Ursula, but Shaw, everyone, all the characters except for Ursula come into the story, right? So magically, they so appropriate. So the storm is likewise part of that magic. And I don't know, when I wrote it, there may actually have been a storm. I don't remember specifically, but anyway. Back in the apartment, they arranged the furniture in a semicircle to look out across the river, out across the magnificent view of that extended valley. They settled in comfortably, content to simply be with each other. That's capital B. The storm was in fact multiple storms. They watched the drama play out across that huge wide valley. The storm centers moving as if competing for dominance, pushing other storms out of the way, getting pushed themselves, all with displays of ferocity and energy to match the scale of the stage. Some merged and joined, seeming to dominate this battle for dominion of the valley, only to break apart from internal strife. They merged and remerged with a pyrotechnical display that at times streaked from horizon to horizon. The thunder so dense and fierce they felt it viscerally. It shook them, instilling a potent vigor. Illuminator rejoined. The energy from the storm infused the friends. Each crack of thunder seemed to go right into them, and coming out as screams of laughter. Hele and Ursula were delighted with the response of Biella and Ursula to the storm. They revelled in it, relishing each streak of lightning chasing imaginary targets. Each peal of massive thunder a gift of joy. a celebration of being alive. They shared in the exuberant appreciation, sharing the wonder and magic of being alive. The end. Yeah. I like that ending. Nice, gentle, soft, beautiful. An ending of
Yes.
the beauty of Nobelia-Living, right? That it's not just interacting and you're not just watching the storm. You participate in it, you interact in it, right? You revel in it, you celebrate it. This is Nobelia-Living, yes. Just in this one simple little thing that they do. But it's transformative, right? And also there's the mourners, because these are now the four friends, right? They've had this intense, intimate experience before. So this becomes more. That's why she asked them specifically to stay behind. The aspirants would have done just as well, right? And before she may have asked the aspirants, but because of this intensity so recently of the four of them, it makes more sense to do this. It's not about being exclusive. It's about appropriateness, right? Other times she will include all the aspirants and the delegates as well, right? Or maybe just with a particular aspirant or two, like with Shah, right? It all depends on the circumstance and appropriateness, right? So we're going to see more interactions as the book goes along. In book two, I think it's still mostly the delegates and the aspirants, but there are some new people that come into it. And, Fine is definitely a bit more of a presence there. And I do want to bring more in as well, right? So I know Fine is already there, in detail. So we're going to have this, but this sharing of this Nobelia-Living, this I really wish to share and communicate. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal, right? And we have this, right? Beena, I mean, just right. We may not watch storms together, but you know, just working together. Watching movies. All right. Maybe not watching movies. I
Yes.
talk too
Yes.
much during watching movies, but all right. No, maybe not. Maybe not the same. But it could be. It could be potentially, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, listening to music. I think with listening to music,
So okay, not
I'm,
guilty. I'm not guilty of sharing these.
no,
So
no,
okay.
no. I'm teasing. I'm teasing myself. You see, I mean, I'm an equal opportunity teaser. I'm teasing myself. That's why Peter was enjoying it. So, gotta tease yourself sometimes. Gotta tease yourself. Right, Beena?
Yes. Yeah.
Important. All right. So tomorrow we'll go on to
So now
this
you
about.
guys know that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead, Beena.
no, I was just saying that. Okay. So now you guys know
Yeah.
why we don't watch movies more together because
We
yeah, we
generally
are two
don't have the
different people when
time.
we do movies.
Yeah. We generally don't have the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And beside, it's so difficult
Yes.
to
This is
find
also a reason.
movies that, once you really get into the noble ideal and Nobelia-Living, it's kind of hard to really find movies that you truly enjoy. There's always, it's mostly about superiority paradigm, like I was saying. Most movies and books, the theme of it and the why of the movie is connected to insanity in some way. So it gets a little tricky sometimes to find stuff to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Not mourners focused. They're not mourners
Yes.
focused. Anyway, that's why the capital R reading is nice, because even in Musashi, even though it's about, sword fighting, we can extract that mourners so easily, much more easily than it is to do in a movie. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Exactly. Oh yes.
Which
Oh
reminds
yes.
me, we need to do
Very
some
much so. Very
Musashi.
much
We
so.
need to do some Musashi reading, but we got lots of other things to do. So,
Ah,
all right, all right, we're gonna
uh,
end it. We're gonna end it right here because I
as
actually do want to
as
do some
appropriate.
other. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bina.
Okay. Everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Syl, and thank you, Grain, for being here.
And
It's
Michaela was
always
here too.
nice to have. Oh yes, Michaela also. Even if just one person in your life with whom you can share moreness is
Yeah,
a huge, huge, huge
yeah,
blessing.
yeah,
But we are blessed more than usual blessed because we have more people and where we can share things.
yeah.
Yes, it is a long thing, yes, you are not supposed to stay for whole 2 hours or more. But and of course you are not supposed to, like, okay, not expected that you'll be here. But it's still, we appreciate
yeah,
every single day, even if you
yeah,
just come and say hello. This is just to very encouraging that people are on the path of moreness. That's it.
yeah,
Nothing more expected, no more expectation than that. And
yeah,
of course, everything else is, as in Syl's word, is bonus.
yeah, yeah.
And we are so grateful for the bonuses
Yes,
we always get.
yes,
So thank you
yes,
so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow,
yes, yes,
and
yes,
gradually we are moving towards 25-minute sessions.
yes. Well, 30 minutes for the interview long. Yeah. Why 25? 30.
Yes,
Is five for the
yes.
5 for the introduction?
Yeah, because I
Okay. All right.
yes.
All right. Um, 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 Norma says, thank you, Beena, too. Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Norma. Unless you mean it's a typo and this is Beena 2 and
Thank you,
there's a
Norma.
Beena 1.
You never know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But no, I'm just appreciating your thank you, Norma. Yeah, always just beautiful, wonderful. All right, thank you, Norma. Thank you, Norma. Love you, and we'll see you all tomorrow when we're going to do that about the spiritual reader. Very, very important. Very important. Very, very important. That's a very profound finish to a book. I know. I find it a big deal. Very big, and there's a backstory to that, and I'll explain the backstory tomorrow. All right. Wonderful. 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 Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. And Bina, I'll see you soon because I do want to finish something. Yes? All right. First time. All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Norma. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye bye, Norma. Bye bye, Norma. All right. End meeting. End
Okay.
meeting for
Bye.
all.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye bye, Norma. Bye bye, Bina.